His ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, who has also lived at Royal Lodge, will have to make her own living arrangements.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, once a prince with 30 rooms and every privilege, faces a harsh new reality, a rundown farmhouse in Norfolk. Furious, he rages at rooms and even pest control vans, showing just how hard it is to let go of a life built on titles and grandeur. How will he survive life stripped of everything? Stay with us. A house too small for a fallen prince. Located in the serene Norfolk countryside, Marsh Farm exudes tranquility, far removed from the opulence of Sandringham House. The farmhouse boasts 5 spacious bedrooms, surrounded by vast, peaceful land. The fresh air and expansive views create a sense of tranquility, and the stillness is gentle on the senses. For many, this idyllic setting would be seen as a true gift, providing solitude, relaxation, and a respite from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. For Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the feeling evoked by this house was completely different. In order to grasp the reasoning behind this, one must consider the lifestyle he was accustomed to. He resided in Royal Lodge for over 2 decades, a grand residence with 30 spacious rooms located in Windsor Great Park. It was more than just a dwelling, it represented a whole universe of its own. The expansive corridors, numerous chambers, and exclusive grounds seamlessly combined to establish a sense of detachment from everyday reality. Each day spent in this environment served as a constant reminder of one's social standing. It conveyed a subtle yet powerful message of significance, connection to something larger, and prioritization of personal well-being. Imagine transitioning from that vast world into a more compact environment. A quaint 5-bedroom farmhouse, while charming, lacks the same significance. It fails to evoke the same sense of authority or dominance. This shift isn't solely about dimensions, it pertains to one's sense of self. Andrew visited Marsh Farm for the first time and found that the house was not yet completed. The property was still under construction, with workers actively making repairs and improvements. Instead of a fully finished home, Andrew encountered a raw, unfinished, and exposed building. At that instant, another element intensified the visit. Vehicles for pest control were spotted at the premises. This indicated a possible presence of rodents. The severity of the problem wasn't the main concern. Simply seeing the vehicles affected the atmosphere of the house. It created a sense of unease, giving the impression that the location was unsanitary or dangerous. For an individual accustomed to impeccable environments, this situation would have been challenging to come to terms with. There were worries about the condition of the land. Several sources indicated that there might be a possibility of flooding in the area. This potential risk could create a sense of insecurity within the house. Rather than being a peaceful sanctuary, it started to feel unpredictable. Simultaneously, several enhancements were still in progress. The installation of security systems was ongoing. Construction of a robust fence around the premises was underway. Surveillance cameras were being included. The internet connectivity was also not completely established. The landscaping, intended for privacy, was still being worked on. These various unfinished elements gave the impression that the house was not yet fully finished. When Andrew gazed upon Marsh Farm, he did not see a completed residence. Instead, he saw a venture and a location vastly different from his familiar surroundings. The contrast between his previous experiences and the current situation became evident, making it difficult to overlook. He had a very intense response. He was described in reports as clearly distressed, finding it difficult to conceal his emotions. The repeated term used was plain yet impactful. It illustrated a lack of restraint, a moment when feelings overpowered logic. But to understand why this was difficult for him to handle, let's take a dive back to his life before the scandals. The mansion that held his last illusion. Royal Lodge was more than just a dwelling. It held a profound significance that was difficult to articulate but easy to sense. Andrew saw it as a tangible reminder that he was still a part of a changing world, a place where he felt his role was still relevant and important. Royal Lodge wasn't just a place to rest. It was a silent affirmation each day that his presence still carried weight. Despite all the alterations, the essence of that communication endured. The scandal, the loss of titles, the stripping of military honors, and the televised interview that tarnished his reputation were all significant events that signaled a major change. His defining characteristics were slowly stripped away. His public persona vanished, his responsibilities diminished, and the stability of his life started to crumble for all to see. However, despite it all, Royal Lodge remained a constant presence. That home served as his ultimate sanctuary. Residing in a grand mansion with 30 rooms within Windsor Great Park held significance beyond just the luxury and size of the home. It symbolized his place in society and his connection to something prestigious.
A 30-room mansion near Windsor Castle, where he's lived virtually rent-free for more than 2 decades. He's moving to a more remote, private house.
The address itself conveyed a sense of authority and importance to others, reaffirming his own sense of belonging and significance. By staying there, he felt like he was preserving a piece of history and continuing an important legacy. In 2003, he made Royal Lodge his home. Gradually, he transformed it to suit his personal taste. Significant amounts of money were invested in upgrades and maintenance. The residence became a comfortable sanctuary, almost like a part of him. Each room, every nook, exuded a feeling of ownership and contentment. It was more than just a living space to him. It provided a sense of safety and comfort. Next came the onset of stress. There was an increasing pressure for him to depart. Some suggested that the house should be occupied by a royal who was actively working. The possibility of Prince William and his family taking up residence gained more support as time passed. What was once considered a permanent situation now felt unstable. Andrew was not quick to agree to this. He did not back down easily. Rather, he resisted and fought back. He explored various legal options. He raised doubts about the conditions of his presence. He prolonged the proceedings as much as possible. What started as weeks extended into months. The act of resistance turned into a narrative of a man unwilling to let go of what was dear to him. This response unveiled a more profound truth. He likely anticipated this moment as the signs pointed towards it. His responsibilities had concluded, his titles had vanished, and his life had taken a new course. Observers could foresee the inevitable outcome. However, comprehending a transition does not necessarily equate to embracing it. This type of moment feels unfamiliar for someone who has always been sheltered. Andrew's upbringing was characterized by the privileges that came with being born into royalty. He was always surrounded by luxury and chances for success. He had access to top-notch education and underwent thorough training. His participation in the Falklands War demanded true bravery and had a lasting impact on him. In his subsequent positions, he maintained a high profile, despite facing scrutiny and criticism. Throughout each phase, there existed a sense of security in having something to cling to. Whether it was a position, a label, or a place to call home, there was always a safety net to cushion any setback. Royal Lodge was the final one among those levels. Losing it wasn't just about relocating. It signified embracing a different world with unfamiliar assistance. It symbolized being exposed without the usual protection. The October that ended it all. To comprehend the reason behind Andrew being given Marsh Farm as his new residence, we need to rewind to October in the year 24. During that month, there was a significant event that led to the inevitable move. Andrew was stripped of all his remaining royal titles and accolades at that time. A statement was released by Buckingham Palace, which had a strong tone. It mentioned serious errors in judgment and showed empathy for victims of abuse. The words in the statement were carefully selected and approved at the topmost levels. They were not merely casual comments, but a formal announcement that the institution was distancing itself from him. The statement had a significant impact. Andrew persisted in refuting any accusations related to his connection with Jeffrey Epstein. It was his privilege to do so. Nevertheless, nothing he said could alter the past events. His position within the family and the institution that had influenced his life was permanently changed. He lost his title as His Royal Highness and was stripped of all official roles and responsibilities. He no longer participated in any royal activities or held any patronages. He also no longer received any public funds in his own name. Essentially, he was no longer an active member of the world he was born into. The upcoming move to Sandringham served as physical evidence of this new reality. Despite the changes being approved, Andrew did not back down quietly. It was obvious to onlookers that he was actively opposing the situation and making his dissent known to the king and others. At this point, what form could his resistance take? Despite losing titles, official roles, and even the property at Royal Lodge, he still persisted in battling against decisions that had already been concluded. The transfer of Royal Lodge was not up for debate. There was no room for negotiation or compromise. King Charles and the institution had already made the decision. The schedule for the handover was set in stone. Moving trucks were spotted at the property, signaling the impending return of the estate. This would mark the end of an era at Royal Lodge. On his 65th birthday in February, King Charles officially handed over the keys to the Crown estate. The battle over the house was the final stand in his resistance. However, this fight was over before it even had a chance to start. The decision made in October sent a powerful message, marking the culmination of years of decisions, public scrutiny, and scandal. Andrew's standing within the royal family was irreversibly changed, no longer defined by public perception or his own denial. The rules, titles, and support systems that had shielded him throughout his life were suddenly removed. Moving forward, there was no going back to how things used to be. However, even though he was aware that the end result was certain, he persisted in his defiance. He was said to be enraged, throwing fits of anger and displaying his displeasure in ways that were unable to impact the choices that had already been finalized. The transfer to Marsh Farm represented more than just a change in location. It symbolized his acceptance of a new way of life. Previously wielding power, prestige, and security as a duke, he now found himself in a diminished existence, far from the luxuries that had once distinguished him. In October of 2024, Andrew not only lost his titles, but also had to confront a new reality without the protection of his shields, honors, and symbols. This marked the beginning of a new phase in his life, where everything he had relied on was stripped away. That specific month was a turning point that showed him that his familiar world was no more, and there was no way to go back to it. But how did his wife and daughters react? Stick around. The Fergie factor. Sarah Ferguson has been a consistent presence in Andrew's life for many years. Despite their divorce in 1996, they have never fully parted ways. She has remained living with him at Royal Lodge and publicly supported him when others had distanced themselves. By appearing on television with him, she portrayed a sense of unity between them. In various ways, she acted as his companion, defender, and the one person who continued to have faith in him. Living together in a grand estate for almost 3 decades, two individuals who had previously been married to other people had an out-of-the-ordinary arrangement that may be difficult to comprehend. Despite its unconventional nature, this situation proved to be beneficial for Andrew. It provided him with a feeling of companionship and significance that he could not find anywhere else. This gave him reassurance that he had a meaningful presence in his life, and vice versa. Currently, it appears that there is a shift happening in the situation. According to reports, Sarah is expected to depart from Royal Lodge as well. Although her future living arrangements are uncertain, the way the public views their connection is also changing. It is no longer seen as a strong alliance, but has elements of distance and wavering loyalty. Some reports indicate that she has completely severed ties, including with their daughter, Eugenie. If accurate, this presents a bleak scenario. Andrew is not just losing a residence, but also the two individuals who have been his closest confidantes and have helped him through previous hardships. Despite the turmoil and downfall, there are rumors circulating that Andrew is contemplating entering the dating scene once more. Consider this. A man in his mid-60s, having lost his possessions, prestigious titles, luxurious home, and social status, is allegedly exploring the idea of embarking on new romantic ventures. This particular information reveals a great deal. It could indicate a significant detachment from reality or a strategic story being spread by individuals with close ties to him. Regardless, it highlights the current status of his support system. Those who used to support him are possibly starting to distance themselves. With their absence, Andrew is confronted with a new reality of being on his own. He is now transitioning to a spacious 5-bedroom farmhouse in Norfolk, devoid of any prestigious titles, official duties, or the accolades that once defined his identity. The absence of the familiar faces that brought comfort to his life adds to the sense of isolation. His current circumstances shed light on the outbursts of anger, visible frustration, and the struggle to control his feelings. These reactions are not offered as excuses, but as explanations for his behavior. The presence of Fergie was more than just a comforting presence for Andrew. She also offered him a sense of security and assurance that he was not completely alone. Losing her support, along with everything else, forces him to confront a stark and solitary reality. The Quiet Watchers. Throughout all the commotion in the media, the loss of titles, the dispute over Royal Lodge, the relocation to Marsh Farm, the rumors of outbursts and noticeable frustration, there is a noticeable absence of commentary from a particular group. This lack of response is, in various aspects, one of the key components of the narrative. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, the daughters of Andrew, have decided to refrain from making public statements regarding their father's predicament. Their discretion contrasts starkly with the turmoil enveloping him. Both daughters are actively living their lives, dedicating themselves to their careers, families, and personal missions. While Beatrice continues to fulfill her royal responsibilities, Eugenie is focused on her family life and advocating against human trafficking. They have not publicly supported or condemned Andrew. In a world where every word is closely examined, their decision to remain silent is intentional and strategic. This silence likely comes with a personal toll. Some sources suggest that Eugenie may have decided to cut ties with her father, although this has not been confirmed by anyone directly involved. If this is true, it would represent one of the most heartbreaking turns in this situation. Regardless of the circumstances, the estrangement between a father and his children is always deeply personal and sorrowful. Their decision to remain silent could be seen as a clever strategy. By staying out of the situation involving Andrew, they are shielding themselves from being associated with him publicly. Not openly supporting him helps them steer clear of any accusations of desertion, all the while maintaining their private ties with him. They are delicately treading a fine line between familial devotion and self-preservation. Their approach is understated, devoid of any grand gestures or media tactics, refraining from turning their silence into a spectacle. This measured restraint is both remarkable and quietly moving. It illustrates that even those closest to Andrew, or who were once close, view staying quiet as the wisest and most responsible course of action. The lack of communication from the daughters can be seen as a form of final decision. While not legally binding, it still holds significance. When those who are closest to someone choose to remain silent, it can indicate a lot. It can define limits and reveal truths in a way that words cannot always do. Andrew views his children's silence as a sign of the profound transformations in his life. He no longer has his HR style, military titles, or public role. His lease for the Royal Lodge is coming to an end, and he is being moved to a smaller property, far away from royal hubs and the heart of British influence. He does not receive any civil list income and does not have any important patronages. Essentially, he has experienced repercussions in terms of loss of status, reputation, property, and public image within the restrictions of the monarchy. This is a consequence that few in his position have ever had to face. However, some people find his current situation inadequate. He continues to reside on a prestigious property, enjoying security provided by taxpayers, and lives a life of luxury that most British individuals can only dream of. The 5-bedroom farmhouse he is protesting against would be considered a luxury by many. Additionally, some individuals believe that his treatment has been unfair in certain aspects. He has faced public condemnation without being charged with a crime. The civil agreement he made was not an admission of wrongdoing. Furthermore, he is currently being deprived of the opportunity to have a private life and live with dignity. Amidst everything happening, the daughter's silence tells a tale of attentive watching, hidden sorrow, and setting limits in challenging situations. Although not grabbing attention, their self-control holds significance as it distinguishes loyalty from survival, family from reputation, and love from the tough truths of public life. And yet, through all these, rumors of hope circulated. Let's dive into it. The Bahrain Dilemma. The plot of Andrew's upcoming plans becomes increasingly unclear. Rumors have been spreading for several months that Marsh Farm in Norfolk may not be his ultimate destination. It is now being rumored that he may only stay there temporarily and could potentially move to Bahrain instead. While talk of relocating to Bahrain was initially dismissed as mere gossip, recent reports have taken on a more serious tone, indicating that Andrew is seriously contemplating the move. Andrew has established strong relationships in the area over a significant period of time. These relationships were forged while he was serving as a trade representative for the UK, and they were occasionally contentious, leading to concerns about ethical business practices. Bahrain is not only known for its pleasant climate and upscale offerings, it provides a sense of solace, a level of psychological importance, a break from the constant scrutiny of the British press, an escape from the public spotlight that has scrutinized every embarrassing moment, every mistake, and every controversy. In Bahrain, Andrew's reputation as a disgraced prince would no longer define him. He could now be seen as a man with valuable connections and experience in the region. Despite losing his official titles, he still holds informal influence. This new life offers him freedom from constant scrutiny and the opportunity to start anew, albeit quietly. By considering a move, he would be making a significant decision that suggests he has come to terms with the fact that he cannot rebuild a respectable life in Britain. The burden of his past in that country is too great, too public, and too ingrained. Departing from Britain would allow him to leave his troubled narrative behind completely. However, there is an issue that many people do not appear to want to delve into. Would King Charles actually approve? The palace may view Andrew in Bahrain as a potential resolution. He would be far away, absent from royal functions, and separated from the press in Windsor and London. What is out of sight is often out of mind. However, the circumstances are not as simple as they may seem. Taking Andrew to Bahrain poses various risks. He brings with him his network, connections, and a track record of risky business ventures. Being far from the palace would result in little supervision. In Norfolk, he is still within reach for family and institutions to provide some influence. Once overseas, that influence diminishes. The family is unable to monitor his meetings, dealings, or agreements. Moving him to a different location may not solve the issue, but rather shift it to a place where it is harder to control. King Charles needs to carefully think about this calculation. It is a complex decision to make. Considering factors like distance, safety, and control makes it even more challenging. While sending Andrew overseas may resolve visibility problems in the short term, it also brings up concerns about his influence, accountability, and trustworthiness. Though Bahrain offers potential opportunities for Andrew, it also brings unpredictability for the monarchy. Each choice has consequences, and this particular one may have significant repercussions. So, what does this mean for his future? Let's find out. The crossroads. The current timeline is now clearly outlined. Andrew is set to depart Royal Lodge and temporarily relocate to Wood Farm Cottage, a smaller property within the Sandringham estate. This cottage was previously utilized by Prince Philip in his later years as a temporary residence. It is anticipated that the handover of Royal Lodge will take place in mid-February, coinciding with his 65th birthday. The plan is for him to permanently settle in Marsh Farm by Easter of 2025. This is the proposed schedule, although the uncertainty lies in whether Andrew will adhere to it. Based on his past behavior, there is a possibility that he may resist the plan. Each stage of the process has been delayed by him, and he has contested every concession and timeline provided. Despite this, removal vans have been sighted at Royal Lodge, and renovations at Marsh Farm are visibly underway. The detailed accounts of these events suggest that this time around, the relocation is likely to come to fruition. There are 4 possible outcomes to consider. The first option involves Andrew silently accepting the situation and relocating to Marsh Farm without resistance. He adapts to a simpler lifestyle and keeps in touch with the few family members he has left. Over time, he slowly becomes forgotten by the public, which is what the palace desires. This outcome is the most organized and ensures that the institution can carry on without major disturbances. While Andrew may not view it as a triumph, it is the option that causes the least amount of suffering for others. In the second situation, there is ongoing defiance from Andrew. He stubbornly refuses to come to terms with his situation. Periodically, a fresh tale comes to light. Grievances about the estate, accounts of his discontent, or even a display of anger in public come up. He continues to grab attention for negative reasons. In this case, he turns into a recurring issue, a force that the palace struggles to manage. The saga goes on, and the story of his downfall becomes more complex. The third option involves Andrew leaving Bahrain. Following a brief stay at Marsh Farm, he might choose to move overseas. In this new environment, he would disconnect himself from the British media landscape and establish a new life in the Middle East. Surrounded by his business connections and informal networks, he would still maintain his influence. While this decision would take him away from the palace's direct sphere of influence, it may bring about unforeseen challenges. Physical distance does not necessarily lead to a solution, and the decision to relocate could potentially give rise to complications that the palace is not able to anticipate. The fourth option involves Andrew trying to improve his image through means such as interviews, documentaries, or charity work. Despite his efforts to re-enter the public sphere, it is expected to be unsuccessful based on past patterns. The New Site interview from 2019 serves as a cautionary tale of his failed attempts to manipulate the story. Any similar endeavors are predicted to only invite more critical examination and humiliation. The visit to Marsh Farm unveiled the depth of Andrew's reaction to his changed circumstances. According to various sources, he expressed his frustration towards the rooms, the property's condition, the pest control vehicles, and what the farmhouse represented. He displayed his displeasure by acting stubborn and making it known that he will not leave quietly. His behavior revealed more about his character than any words or interviews could. He still seems unable or unwilling to grasp that the 30 rooms, titles, and luxury were not just accessories, they defined who he was. Take those away, and what is left is a man who is furious at the curtains and walls, a man whose main emotional reaction to the significant fall from grace in recent royal history is anger towards his new environment. In the meantime, King Charles has clearly stated his stance. The priority is the institution. The scaled-back monarchy is not a choice, it is a decision. No one, including his own sibling, can avoid being answerable. On the other hand, Prince William symbolizes a fresh approach. Observing from Brazil, with bare feet on the sand, he engages with individuals unfamiliar with Royal Lodge or Marsh Farm. He personifies a monarchy that is focused and applicable, ready to put in the effort without expecting special treatment. The distinction between the siblings is striking. Andrew is planning to relocate to Marsh Farm soon. The deadline for Easter is fast approaching. The renovations are nearing completion. One morning, he will find himself in a spacious farmhouse in Norfolk with 5 bedrooms, pondering a significant decision. This moment marks a turning point for him, as he grapples with his identity stripped of the trappings of wealth and status. It is a crucial juncture in his life that could shape his future. How he confronts this challenge will determine the direction of his narrative going forward. The relocation signifies both practically and metaphorically. It signifies a limit to his environment, a decrease in advantages, and the breakdown of his social standing. Marsh Farm holds more significance than just being a residence. It indicates the level of importance. Andrew has experienced a life shielded by his position, family ties, and institutional safeguards. In Marsh Farm, these defenses no longer exist. He now must face life without the layers of privilege that previously softened every blow. His decisions will determine if he can acknowledge the truth or if he will persist in denying the unavoidable. Marsh Farm provides a solution for the monarchy by offering a controlled environment that restricts public visibility and grants Andrew some privacy within reasonable limits. As the move approaches, the question is no longer if Marsh Farm will be occupied, but how Andrew will respond to the absence of the life he once knew. Will he accept the limitations, preserve his private relationships, and find some measure of peace? Or will he resist, creating new stories of frustration and anger, leaving the palace with ongoing challenges? The answers will unfold over time, and the decisions he makes in this small farmhouse will carry weight far beyond its walls.